Get Out 3-act structure. There's actually a pre-start, so rather than saying the start is this, there's a little teaser start, which is the white car follows the black guy through the white suburbs and then whacks him on the head and abducts him. The start is then, once upon a time there was a mixed race couple, affluent mixed race couple living in New York. Or you could say once upon a time there was a young photographer, a young black photographer called Chris in a mixed race relationship, living in New York, seemingly in love. At the end of the first 10 minutes, they hit the deer. So they're on the way to her parents' place for the weekend. Then they hit the deer, the cop is called, and there's a racist moment where the girlfriend stands up for her boyfriend. As regards inciting incident, there's not really a key thing, I think, in the Act 1, because his goal changes. So the normal 15-minute inciting incident isn't really there. But what you could say is that seeing the family's black servants, who seem docile and zombie-like, is the inciting incident. And what incident is it inciting? Well, just his unease that something's not right here. Because his true goal then becomes to escape, but that doesn't happen yet. That hasn't been incited yet. Plot point 1 is that he is hypnotised and he enters the sunken place. Comes at 35 minutes, but so it partly feels like it's the beginning of a new sequence, but I would say that is what it is. Act 2, Part 1. So it begins the next day, and at the bridge, the halfway point in Act 2, Part 1 is, I would perhaps put it down to the moment when all the guests go silent as he goes upstairs, which solidifies that they're all in on it. And then we get, it's almost like the halfway point, but I wouldn't call this a halfway point moment, but it is a big plot moment. Is at 56 minutes you get the flash activating and the docile black guy suddenly saying, "Get out, get out." And so clearly there's some problem, except it's perhaps not really the plot point because the family get away with it. Chris isn't sure what that means, other than maybe it was the guy was just annoyed that Chris was taking his photo. So I would say the real halfway point there is Chris's decision to go, mixed with the auction. We see the auction happening, we see the picture of Chris, and at that point we've got no doubt what's going on here, and Chris decides to leave. So at the halfway point his new goal happens, and you could say that the flash camera bit is the inciting incident of the new goal. Act 2, Part 2, we get a circle of being moment, which is when the lead character recalls a moment from his childhood or her childhood when they were about 11, 12, a formative moment that's affected them, which has provided the psychological backdrop for the problem they're facing in the story. So for Chris, it's the guilt he feels over not helping his mother. That his mother was in an accident and she didn't die straight away. And if he'd gone out to help her, he could have saved her life. So we get that. And again, important to have that there because the third quarter is always the boring bit of anything. Your work day, a football match, 3 in the afternoon, whatever. The bridge to I think it's when he finds the photos and he knows that she's lying to him. Doesn't know 100% that she's in on whatever it is that's going on. But I think finding the photos is a big thing. And then the Act 2 ending, I would say it's when she won't give him the keys. So now it's clear she's in on it and doesn't care, and his love was fake. Act 3, the guy that's going to receive Chris's body gives a video presentation of the process, how it all works. It reminded me a bit of the video from Being John Malkovich, which explains the floor 13 and 3/4, whatever it was called. The climax is, I mean, you've got a very climactical Act 3, but I think the main climax is when Rose gets the gun and shoots, and then the black guy who is being called Grandpa, who has Grandpa's brains inside him. Chris has done another flash picture of him, which has revived him, and then he kills Rose. Well, she's not quite dead, but basically the shootout with Rose, I would say, is the climax. And the ending is that his pal turns up and takes him to safety.